If you've had a dream about a baby and it felt real, not random, not like something your mind created, but something you experienced, there's usually a moment after where you don't know what to do with it. Because the dream ends, but the feeling doesn't, and that's the part that stays with you. I want to share something that someone wrote here. She said, I dreamt of all of my kids. I just found out I'm pregnant with my fourth, and I had already dreamed I was holding her. It was so real. And what stood out wasn't just the dream, it's how she felt after it. It was how certain she felt, not something she was trying to figure out, but something she recognized. Because when something is just a dream, we usually forget about it. But when something is experienced through the body, we remember it differently. It stays. This happens more than people talk about. And because it doesn't fit into logic, it often gets dismissed. But the body doesn't create recognition like that randomly. It responds to something it feels is real. But here's where everything begins to change. Most people ask, what did the dream mean? But that keeps you in your mind, and the experience didn't come from your mind. So instead, a more helpful question is, what did I feel? Because that feeling is not something you created. It's something your body experienced. And when you stay with that feeling, instead of trying to define it, the connection doesn't fade, it becomes clearer. And if you haven't dreamt of your baby yet, that's okay. There is nothing missing, nothing you're supposed to have done already. Connection doesn't start with dreaming. The dream is just one way it shows up. For many, it begins much quieter. A feeling, a curiosity, a sense that something is there even though you can't explain it. This is how it begins, not by waiting, but by becoming more open, more available, more settled. And when your body begins to feel safe enough, that connection becomes clearer and easier to feel, sometimes in dreams and sometimes in ways you don't expect. They are not waiting for you to do something perfectly. They're simply waiting for connection, and that begins the moment you open your heart. But here is what often happens next. Right after the dream, the mind steps in. Was that real? Am I making this up? Why did it feel so different? And slowly the clarity of experience begins to feel more distant. Not because it wasn't real, but because your state changed. In the dream, you were open. You weren't analyzing, you weren't questioning, you were just receiving. And when your body is calm, open, receptive, it becomes much easier to feel subtle connection. But when the mind takes over, that feeling becomes quieter. Not gone, just harder to access. So the next step isn't chase another dream or to try to recreate it, is to return to that state your body was in when it received it. Calm, open, safe. And this is something you can begin to access even when you're awake. Slowing down, softening your body, letting yourself feel without having to define anything. Because when your body feels safe, your mind doesn't need to control the experience. And what you felt becomes easier to trust. I've experienced this too. I dreamt of my daughter before she entered the physical world. And I remember that feeling clearly. It wasn't something I was trying to understand. It was recognition, as if something in me already knew. So if you've had a dream like this, or even just a feeling that you can't fully explain, you don't need to chase it. You don't need to prove it. You can simply return to the feeling and stay with it, because that is where connection grows. And if you want support returning to that connection and staying in that state, in that feeling, without overthinking it, I've created a guided experience to help you settle your body and connect into that feeling. It's linked below.